Logan, Keegan, Emily, and Bailey, we conducted research to show how dangerous Juul and tobacco is on college campus.
Did you know that just one Joel pod has the same amount of nicotine as 20 cigarettes does? What about also, did you know that Juuls can actually harm a younger person's brain development? And those are both true statements. So, being a college student, we see Juul pods used all the time, whether it be on campus, maybe your roommate uses one, wherever it may be. We witness the widespread use of these Juuls, and we can kind of see like what's happening, and based off of that, we can be able to give ideas of where these hotspots are, and maybe to help contain the amount of usage that Juul pods are being used at. So this rise in the usage of Juul pods can actually be harmful. As of recently, they actually had banned Juul pods being able to sell at local gas stations. And but the issue with this rise is that not a whole lot has been done to stop the widespread usage, and we have some ideas that we believe that can help. And you know, many college students use Juuls, so I'm sure that many of our classmates use these Juul pods, and maybe we can help them and educate them on some of the harmful side effects that do come with using Juul pods. So this presentation will include advice in order to eliminate the amount of Juuls being used on campus and within the student body as a whole. And these actions can include enforcing the ban of tobacco products on campus property, even though that is already set in place. It's not really enforced, so to say. And also, we believe that if you educate students on the harmful side effects of tobacco, such as Juul pods, they're more likely to quit and not use them as much, especially on campus.
Hi, my name is Emily Salvati and I have the need portion of this presentation. The new invention of electronic cigarettes known as Juuls has become sort of an epidemic amongst teens. It should be common knowledge that nicotine is an addictive chemical that is not the healthiest for the brain. We associate nicotine solely to cigarettes, and we are taught early on that cigarettes are terrible for your health and have deadly side effects. Juuls were made for adult smokers as an alternative to smoking cigarettes. However, it entices young teens by selling fruity flavors such as mango, cucumber, and even creme brulee. And the risk of teens becoming nicotine dependent and even future cigarette users has skyrocketed. Even an astonishing 63% of Juul users between the ages of 15 and 24 were not aware that the Juul even contained nicotine. And we all know that our teenage years are the prime time for growth. And when teens make the decision to start smoking nicotine, this growth is stunted. It makes it easier to get addicted to nicotine the earlier a person starts smoking. According to smokefree.gov, using nicotine during your teen years can also rewire your brain to become more easily addicted to other drugs. And these consequences are not just related to health, they are affecting students' lives in school. 3 to 4 students are caught smoking e-cigs on campus each week, and usually Juuls are what's being used, and some are even suspended. They are hard to detect by teachers in schools because they are small and discreet and can be disguised as a flash drive. Some schools have even banned the use of flash drives in order to prevent the use of them in schools. They produce a small amount of vapor that easily dissipates into the air before they can get caught, and they do not have a distinct smell like cigarettes do. Students are able to get away with juuling in class by hiding the smoke, by blowing it into their shirts and even their backpacks. Now that I have addressed where the problem is, we are now going to discuss the steps being taken to fix it.
Many steps being taken by universities, the University of Kentucky in particular, and the government to limit the use of nicotine by young people, peoples below the age of 18, below the legal age of consumption of nicotine. And my main questions with this are, does it promote a healthy environment for people to want to quit smoking? Does it promote a healthy environment for people in general? And really looking at the University of Kentucky, does it promote a healthy environment for us? The use of these products is widespread. Juuls, vapes, traditional tobacco products, and they've all come under scrutiny in recent time. Whether it be because of the tobacco lobby, whether it be because of other circumstances. But what I'm really focusing on here is the use of Juuls by young people. Juuls, vape pens, anything of that nature, really, that has kind of led to the usage age of these products dropping drastically. And this is all due to Juul's target marketing. Their marketing is very aggressive, and it's geared almost exclusively towards young people below the average age of consumption of nicotine products. And the demographics that the FDA has said that they are targeting are well below 18. In many cases, late middle school and early high school. This is around 12 to 14 years of age when people are starting to use nicotine products. And the real question that I'm focusing on with that is, why are these people targeting young people? And the answer is simple. They want to get them hooked on nicotine. They want them to use their product for the rest of their life. And that's really what it comes down to. Products like Juul are geared towards people trying to quit smoking. That's what they're supposed to be geared towards. And with this, they're being geared towards young people to get them into smoking. And that's really not what anybody wants to see. Products like Juul promote addiction. And that's really what it comes down to. That's what it boils down to time after time, is that using nicotine over a long period of time at a young age causes an addiction. And yes, the addiction is not great, but there are a lot of other things that it can cause. Prolonged exposure to inhalants like, vapor, like smoke, cause damaged lung tissue, they cause heart problems, they cause abnormalities in the brain, and they slow down development of the body. So there are a lot of different things that use of these products will cause. And that's really what the FDA is targeted and say in their crackdown, saying, hey, we don't want you guys marketing to people that are going to be impacted later on in life by your products, which I think is admirable. And why Juul is doing this and how they're doing this is kind of remarkable and really not in a good way. They're marketing towards young people basically with the ideas that using these products will make you cool amongst your peers or make you seem mainstream amongst your peers. And that's not right. That's not how you want these products to be advertised. You want these products to be advertised towards, hey, you already have an addiction. Why don't we lessen that? Why don't we help you? And Juul has done the exact opposite of that, which is very unfortunate to see for a product that's supposed to be helpful. And because of this, there are a lot of regulations coming down from the FDA on companies like Juul, like Vuse, like Blue, like Rocket Dog, that all sell electronic vape pens. And their target market shops at convenience stores. So they sell out of convenience stores for many, many reasons. One of them being their users won't get ID'd as easily. And that's really profoundly awful, considering the fact that the people that are buying their products are below the age of 18 in many cases. So the FDA has basically said, you guys aren't allowed to sell these products out of convenience stores, gas stations, or any type of other store where where nicotine products are sold. You have to sell these out of vapor dispensaries and vapor stores. And that is really a game changer for this industry, because in many cases, the people that are buying these products aren't getting ID'd, and now they will have to be ID'd upon entry into the store, which this could lead to more problems, but in all reality, IDing people for products like this is going to create an environment in which it's harder to get into the use of these products. And that's really what I believe the FDA is going for.
I'm now going to discuss the visualization of Juul use on campus. Although there is a ban on tobacco products on campus, it is not heavily enforced. As students here at the University of Kentucky, we would like to see some changes to the way people view juuling on campus. Students are bringing their Juuls onto campus because they know they can get away with it. The university has designated monitors to confront people who are smoking on campus, but personally I have never seen them on campus, and I've seen plenty of people smoking Juuls and even cigarettes. The university needs to hire more monitors to patrol the campus and to enforce the no smoking ban to establish their seriousness about the students' health and combating tobacco use. According to Emma Staten, a writer for the Brown and White, she states that students can be fined up to $300 if they're caught with a Juul on Lehigh University's campus. And by establishing serious consequences like these for juuling on campus, students are less inclined to do it because they do not want to receive a hefty fine. This is the same relation to parking tickets. Students are less inclined to park on campus if they know that they are going to receive a hefty fine in a parking ticket. And students should also have the opportunity to seek help for their problem with addiction. According to Megan Morrow, a writer for the Kent State News website, she states that students are urged to use university health services if they need help quitting by using the American Lung Association's Freedom from Smoking program. The University of Kentucky should establish different support groups like Kent State to help students battle addiction. And students themselves can help prevent Juul use on campus. Students should avoid bringing their Juul onto campus if they are unwilling to quit entirely. Students should not even bring their Juul onto campus if they cannot control the urge to smoke it. By bringing it onto campus, students are more tempted to seek out places where they can discreetly smoke it. This includes bathroom, libraries, and even alleyways. Another way that students can come together to promote Juul usage awareness. This could include conducting seminars and creating informative posters to hang up around campus so students are more informed about what they are doing. By visualizing how campus should be, like in the view of a college student, it leads the way to put some action behind it.
As we've talked about before during this presentation, we talked about how the tobacco use on campus is not heavily enforced and these guidelines that are created are not followed by the students. This leads to our next point that the University of Kentucky can take many courses of action to help protect their students, but really the main thing they can do is kind of just teach them of the dangers of tobacco and what they can do. So our first idea is they can increase the awareness by making students take a program that's very similar to the sexual harassment or the alcohol EDU that incoming freshmen are required to take, but they must take this course for tobacco reasons, and then coming in on campus, they can kind of learn and understand the dangers of tobacco. So kind of a quote from EverFi is that alcohol EDU is the largest online course in higher education, and then like the reason it's so successful is because that the alcohol EDU does not assume that every single student drinks and that every single student has the same attitude and behaviors towards alcohol. And that's kind of the same idea that this program could do, is it doesn't assume that every single student either juuls or does chewing tobacco or smokes cigarettes, but rather educate them on the dangers of it and how it can affect them in the future, short and long term. And I think another thing the university can do is expand its education and strict rules to modern tobacco. So the rules, obviously, we'll talk about no smoking cigarettes in the library, or no chewing tobacco on campus and other things like that. But if they kind of conform the rules and make it more modern, so the rules can talk about Juuls and e-cigarettes and more traditional things, then it'll be more relatable for the average college student. Most students now are using Juuls, which are very popular across campus because they have great new flavors and it's super hip and in style. But what kids don't understand is the dangers of Juuls. Since they don't taste the tobacco, or it doesn't smell the same as a cigarette, or you don't see the black leaves like you do in chewing tobacco, it's not as dangerous, which is really false. Because there's a lot of studies that show that one Juul pod alone is the same as smoking 20 cigarettes. And on campus, kids will go through Juul pods really, really fast, and almost 4 Juul pods or 5 Juul pods in a week. and it's really addictive because it tastes so good, and the tobacco and nicotine is super addictive. So like part of the thing that makes it so addictive is the nicotine, of course, but then also the flavors, because kids will see the mango or the cucumber or these things and they'll want to try it, and then as soon as they try it, then it's something that they keep doing. So one thing that the University of Kentucky is really good at is they're really proud to be a tobacco-free university. But what does it exactly mean to be a tobacco-free university? So if they kind of tightened up the guidelines and made it more specific, saying that, and put kind of force behind these rules, instead of just saying, hey, you can't use tobacco on campus. What happens if they do? What happens if they caught? What's the punishment? And if you made these students more aware of the punishment and the rules, then I think these rules would be followed more closely rather than just saying, hey, there's a rule, you better follow it. So I think making people aware of the punishment for this. So the main thing is it's going to be nearly impossible to create an environment where there's no tobacco for over 30,000 students on campus. So you can't just say, hey, there's no more tobacco and that's the end of it, because people are still going to use it because they enjoy it, they're addicted, or whatever it seems to be. So the plan must be to educate the students and make sure that they know that this decision's harming their well-being and that tobacco is something that will harm them for the rest of their lives, even if it's something they enjoy. So I think education is really the main solution to people solving the issue with tobacco on college campuses. And this kind of concludes our argument here as you head to the conclusion, with just making sure that the rules behind tobacco are not super enforced and people are more educated and knowledgeable about what tobacco does to their bodies.
So maybe before this presentation, you may not have been well educated on Juul pods or tobacco and know the best way to eliminate the epidemic of them being used on campus and them just being used in general by the younger generation. But after some different steps shown above to help eliminate the use by Keegan and the education that should be given to students portrayed by Bailey and Emily, and that education can be anything from the harmful side effects to Juul pods to maybe like Bailey talked about, and maybe trying something like how Safe Haven and Alcohol EDU was when we first began our freshman year. Trying to make it more entertaining for users and be able to learn more about it. With this information that you've learned, you too can give an input on helping eliminate the use of tobacco on campus, specifically Juul pods. And in order to give students a chance at a healthy lifestyle on campus, it's important to eliminate the uses of Juuls on campus and educate individuals using Juuls the harmful side effects. And there's different ways that Emily talked about that we could do this, whether it be implementing hefty fines or maybe a possible suspension to help deter the use of Juul pods. We feel like we have a strong base of different ideas, and we believe these ideas can be helpful as long as they're taken seriously by either the administrative office or maybe students, and they truly take it serious. Then it won't be that hard for them to understand, and we can help eliminate this usage. And also, you too can maybe come up with some other ideas to help us better learn how to fight this epidemic that is going on.